You mentioned that the Green Room is kind of known as an industry bar, and I've heard this over the years, whether it's bartenders or whether it's people in the restaurant industry who are getting off work and, okay, I need to blow off some steam, or I want to have a drink. There are a lot of downtown bar options, but you guys are a place where that congregation tends to happen. What do you think it is about the Green Room that creates that safe space for everybody to come together? Hey there, Omaha. Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and in April, I had the privilege of being a judge at a cocktail face-off event called Cockfights that was hosted by the local restaurant Dirty Birds. And it was a really fun night just getting to taste these cocktails from these really creative bartenders. But what I was most amazed at is just the level of art and science that goes into making a cocktail. I mean, I'd always just kind of thought of oh yeah, you splash a couple things together behind a bar. No, there's so much thought that goes into these things, and I wanted to learn more about that art. So I figured who better to help us than the winner of that event and the owner of the Green Room downtown, Matt Owens. Matt, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. That event was super, super fun. But yeah, I'm happy to be here and happy to chat science and gastronomy and all that fun stuff, and I don't know, talk about what I do, I guess.
Well, before we get into that, I want to highlight your establishment, just in case somebody's hearing about the Green Room for the first time, or they have heard of it but haven't visited. How would you describe it? What's the personality of your bar?
I mean, I always joke about this because the working title when we were creating the place, I'm not the sole owner. There's me and a couple other guys that did it, but we wanted to bring something to the market that was a blend. Me personally, I really enjoy the craft stuff, elevated cocktails, that sort of experience. A couple of the other guys are I want a dirty beer with a shot. Another guy's I like playing darts and pool, and why can't I just get some beer on tap and all this other stuff. So this it's a really interesting amalgamation of, like I said, the working title when we were creating this place was classy trashy. And the running joke I have whenever you come into the spot and well, what do you guys do? I was well, I can do an elevated cocktail. You can get a nice pour of something. I can do a dirty beer in a clean glass. That whole thing where you have kind of all of these experiences happening in one room, which is really cool. Super chill vibes. Like I said, you can get a super cool cocktail and play some darts with your friends. You can drink beers and play pool. You can hang out on the patio, smoke a bunch of cigarettes. Not that I'm condoning smoking cigarettes.
It's an option if you choose to do that.
But yeah, so I mean that's kind of what we do. Another thing that I say is, we open up the doors and some stuff happens. We're very lucky to be where we are with a kind of tight-knit community. Everybody on 16th Street and kind of downtown. We have some pretty solid regulars. A lot of service industry folks come in. So beautiful crowd. Shout out to everybody that comes into the Green Room because they're just a bunch of little sweeties.
Now, I'm really interested in you kind of saying, we're that catch-all bar. We've got the experience for everyone. That's really hard for a restaurant or a bar to do. I mean, normally you kind of have to pick your lane and stay in it, because if you try and be, the dirty dive bar, then you're probably not going to get the elevated cocktail crowd unless you create a special environment where both those people feel welcome and they both know that they can get their exact experience when they come in. How did you guys craft it so you were able to kind of meet everyone where they're at?
I don't know. I think it comes with the ideologies of not only myself, the other owners, but everybody that works there. I've been lucky enough to kind of have the same staff since we've opened up since 2020. So everyone is aware of the culture and kind of how we do things. A big thing that we do there when it comes to drinks is there's no judgment. I don't care what you drink, man. Our goal is to make your mouth happy, right? So if you want to drink a White Claw and have a shot of Fireball, sweet, we can do that. If you want to do some gnarly Boulevardier or Vieux riff, got you. You want to try one of our signature menu cocktails that we do that all the bartenders make? Sweet, got you. There's no judgment. There's no anything like that. You're welcome until you're not sort of thing. We just really are trying to cultivate a space that caters to the individual coming in. Like I said, it's kind of whatever you want it to be, which is kind of a very beautiful thing.
I love that. So you guys located like right off 16th and Farnham.
Yep. In between Harney and Farnham on 16th, kind of catty corner from the King Fongs. In recent news over the last 6 months, we're located right next to that giant sinkhole. That's right outside our front door.
Perfect party place.
Yeah, we did actually have a party a little while back. It was I think it was funny. It was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek political protest to a certain degree, but all of the residents of the spaces around us did a sinkhole party, and everybody on the block did different like cocktail specials and things like that. They're all in like luau skirts and coconut bras and floaties and all this other stuff, just kind of hanging out on our patio and around the sinkhole. The now Mayor John Ewing came down and like did interviews with them and stuff like that, and the news was there. Very kind of like funny tongue-in-cheek, but it was kind of like a political thing. Like, hey, guys, we're still here. Fix the hole, please.
Right. We're making a joke out of this, but we're not really making a joke out of this. It's hurting our business. Come help us.
And it was it was the residents that put it on because, that's right outside their front door, too. But, yeah, a couple of them reached out to all the local places, Mercury, Cumbia, us, Block 16. We all did a sinkhole special for that day. Everybody came out, grabbed some, stupid cocktails, and had a good old time. So it was fun. Like I said, very tight knit community on 16th Street. It's a beautiful thing.
Speaking of that, you mentioned that the Green Room is kind of known as an industry bar, and I've heard this over the years, whether it's bartenders or whether it's people in the restaurant industry who are getting off work and, okay, I need to blow off some steam, or I want to have a drink. There are a lot of downtown bar options, but you guys are a place where that congregation tends to happen. What do you think it is about the Green Room that creates that safe space for everybody to come together?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I don't know. I think it's all of the owners of Green Room are bartenders, or were bartenders, I guess. So myself and my partners all have been in the industry 15, 20 years each, all different levels of bartending, whether it be, super craft stuff like myself or dirty dive bar or banquets or whatever. Everybody kind of has done their time, for lack of a better word. So I think that like by accident, us being bartenders created a space for, bar people. And that kind of just brought the Groves in. I've been bartending downtown 15 years. Most of my staff has been doing it for, our youngest gal has 2 years in that has just started bartending. But outside of that, everybody has like 8 years, and the majority of them have been downtown. So it's kind of like, I'm going to go see, Sam or Chris or Matt or, whomever. So like being down there that long and being a part of that little service industry family that we have in downtown Omaha, people, you don't necessarily go to bars for drinks. You go to bars for atmosphere, individuals, bartenders, things like that. Like you can get a Jack and Coke anywhere, but like I'm gonna go get a Jack and Coke because I like Sam, or I'm gonna go get a White Claw because I want to bullshit with Matt or whatever. So I think it just kind of happened. I don't know what the secret sauce is or the X or whatever, why we have such a prominent service industry I guess following or clientele, but at the end of the day, I think it's just, I don't know, it has that vibe of like, it doesn't really matter who you are, it just feels like home. You can be you. You can, blow off steam, like you said, after a, super shitty shift, or you can, come up, relax, and get weird with your friends. So, I have no idea.
I found something that you just said really interesting. You were talking about how a lot of times people, especially in the industry, go to bars not for a specific drink, but for the person who's serving them that drink. And that's something that I noticed going back through your Instagram is you have so many posts that are like, okay, yeah, come out for this special, we'll have this. But on almost every single one of those posts, it lists who's going to be the bartender that night.
Yep.
Usually 2 or 3 people, and they're tagged on Instagram and everything. And I was like, that's interesting. Are people making their bar decisions based off of not not even necessarily the atmosphere or what I want to drink, but who's going to be there and who I have the chance to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's relevant for anyone, really. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a service industry thing. At the end of the day, I think that, you can get pretty much anything anywhere. I mean, Omaha, it has so many bars and restaurants just scattered throughout this entire city, metro area. Like, why go to a place? Like, you go to a place because you heard about it, you heard that it had good vibes, this, that, the other. Maybe they have some wild cocktail or a wild experience or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, the connection that is made is you with the bartender, you with the server, you whatever. And that reiterates those, emotional ties that you have to that place. So argumentatively, you go into Green Room, you get served by me. We have a connection. The next time you're downtown, you're theoretically, in my brain, like, you're going to want to re-experience that type of connection again. Then, you do that a handful of times and all of a sudden you become friends, and then like this, that, the other. Like, bartending and serving like that is way more about connections with humans than it is about putting shit in cups.
I find that fascinating, and I totally agree with you. I think it makes all the sense in the world, but like, obviously this show focuses so much on restaurants, and I can have a fantastic experience with my server, but I'm probably not going to go back to a restaurant because the server was amazing. It's the overall atmosphere, it's the food I was served, everything. But I think you're right that there is more of that one-on-one connection sometimes with bartending that is so important. How do you, as a bartender, like, constantly keep that top of mind that it's not necessarily what I'm creating here that's bringing people back, but it's me. It's the experience that I'm making for them.
I don't know, man. I've had that like ideology in my head since I started. So like, it's
just natural.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if it was a thought at any point in time, it was 20 years ago, and I've just been doing the same stuff since then. But I really think that, at the end of the day, it's about cultivating experiences. Like, it's not about what you put in the cup. It's not about this. I mean, it is to a degree. Like, you want to, be able to put out a proper product and something that's, like what we do at Green Room, that is, maybe a little bit more innovative or unique or this, that, the other. But like, after I make the thing and I give it to you, what happens next, right? So like, it's the, big hellos, big goodbyes, making people feel like family, and really just pushing that human connection. Like, bars are meeting places. Like, you're there to connect with people, so it's my job as a bartender to make that connection with you. And at the end of the day, what I believe in is like service above everything else. Like, I'm going to try and give you the best possible service I can, regardless of how busy the room is. And it's just kind of, I don't know if it's my neurodivergence, my ADD, whatever. Like, my mental illness, like, it's just something that I really crave and I enjoy doing. And I guess I'm good at it or something. I don't know. I've been told enough that I'm pretty okay, so I'll believe it, I guess.
I mean, you mentioned you've been doing this for 20 years, so maybe it's just second nature at this point. But I'm fascinated by, like, when somebody walks into the green room, you're bartending, how do you read them? Because there are some people who, and this might even just depend on it might be their personality, it might be what's happened to them that day, but some people are like, they want to talk, and yep. they want to engage, they want to talk about what's going on. Some people just want to sit by themselves, they want to have a drink. Some people are on a date, they're like, hey, leave us alone. Some people might want to engage and have more of a conversation. How do you kind of read a person and try and figure out what experience is this person looking for?
Man, that's a question. It's
a loaded one.
It is, but like, I don't know. It's like, I mean, you kind of touched on it. It's a case by case basis, and like, once again, I've been doing this so long. Like, you kind of know when someone wants to chat, when you don't. Like, you do your spiel, like, oh, hey, welcome, blah blah blah. Here's the menus. Here's the thing, blah blah blah, yada yada, whatever. And you kind of like go through your little like intro speak or whatever about like, hey, here's what we are, or how we do things, yada yada. And you can kind of tell by how you let them lead the conversation, if that makes sense. Like, here's the information, then they kind of like, oh, well, what's absinthe? And then I can start being a nerd and tell them all about absinthe, this, that, the other. Or if they're like, oh, I want, hey, just give me a Bud Light and a shot of whiskey. All right, cool. Like, here's your Bud Light, shot of whiskey. You want to start a tab? Blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And then, like, you can kind of tell if someone wants to, like, get something off their chest, wants to be left alone, just get buried in their phone, etc. Like, as much as we are putting stuff in cups, man, bartenders are everything. Like, we're therapists, we're photographers, we're, bartenders, security, we're like, you name it, and we have all the hats as bartenders. So being able to read someone fairly quickly is just part of the game. Like, I don't know how to explain how to do it. It's just, yeah, you let them lead the conversation, and as more engaged as they are, then you kind of like match energies moving up, if that makes sense.
It does a lot. How did you get into bartending originally?
Man, dude, I met a guy. I was a lifeguard at one point in time. And one of my buddies I became friends with, when I was a lifeguard, good old Trevor. He's like, hey man, my restaurant, this was early 2000s. It was my restaurant, Charlie's on the Lake, is like needing a, busser or whatever, like, why don't you come working with us in the off season? I'm like, all right, that's fine. So it was like me and a couple other buddies, like, we were just running the restaurant, cleaning up dishes and washing them and stuff like that. And then that moved into a server role at that establishment. And then I was a server for a little bit. And then that moved into a bartending position. And then I ended up leaving there. I did some more restaurant stuff in there, but I left there 2010-ish is when I left Charlie's, and I was like, all right, I don't want to mess with food anymore. Like, I like bartending. I was lucky enough, and I don't know if you paid attention to the Dirty Birds intro video, but I was able to work underneath. That was when I was working underneath that guy Joe, who was like very, very good at mixing, putting things in cups and achieving different flavor profiles and stuff like that. But I was like, no more food. Then I just started like shotgunning resumes in like bars. Ended up working or getting a bar job at the good old Wet Lounge on 178th and Pacific. It is now Deja Vu. But I was there for roughly a year. There for 3 months, some stuff went down, and then I ended up GMing that place. And then, yeah, the rest is kind of history. I just been working my way up, and I've been all sorts of like neighborhood bar to trash bar to club-esque thing to craft spot. So, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of started with me picking up tables and wiping down tables, and then I was like, man, this is fun. And then I learned about like putting stuff together and like the alchemy of everything, working underneath Joe, and then I just kind of like ran with that.
What interests you about that? Specifically the alchemy of a drink, because you said, you've been involved on the food side, and obviously there's a ton of alchemy in food and putting a dish together.
Yeah, dude.
But you gravitate towards the drink side. Why is that?
I think that, like, don't get me wrong, like, I like, throwing down the kitchen at home and things along those lines, but like, I think what it is I don't know, man. You saw me at the Cockfight and we're kind of chatting. Like, I'm a cartoon character, dude. Like, I am a goofy person. Big, loud, boisterous. I feel like most times, like, good, bad, or otherwise, maybe I like to be the center of attention. So you can't really do that in the back of the house. You know what I mean? So being out there, like, on the stage of like being behind a bar, like, I don't know if it like feeds my ego or makes me happy or whatever. I haven't dived into that part of my psyche yet, but I think just being out in public and once again making those connections, because like, throwing down in the kitchen is great. Love dudes that can handle that. Too hot in the kitchen for me. I don't know if I can handle that type of stress, but being able to be engaged with humans, even if it's for like a millisecond, when you guys are like, 5 deep in the weeds, the human connection is why I think I gravitated more towards the bar side of like, the alchemy of, bar and restaurant as opposed to the back of the house.
Super high level question.
Yeah.
What makes a great cocktail?
That is so broad. What makes a great cocktail?
Okay, let me take the scope down a little bit. What makes you say, like, if you go to a bar and you take a sip of a cocktail, what makes you say, damn, this place is doing it right?
I mean, that can be, once again, that can be like a million different things. I think that anytime I go into a spot and if I'm trying cocktails and things like that, I typically go to spots where, I'm going to go see a homie or whatever, and they're working on something new. I'm like, all right, cool. What's the new thing? Like, what's the secret menu item that you're working on that's not quite ready yet or whatever? And trying that and, like, having a conversation of what they're trying to achieve and then tasting it and getting in my brain how close did they achieve the goal, right? Like, if they want this to be some sort of, like, here's a pumpkin pie, whatever the hell, and I taste it and it's a slice of pumpkin pie, like, high five, dude, you got it. If they're like, I want it to be a pumpkin pie and it tastes like a daiquiri, you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, looking at from there, I think that to go, like, circle back to your original question of what makes a good cocktail, in my opinion, because I get that question all the time. Like, I don't know,
sure.
You're like, make me something good. What do you like? Blah, blah, blah. Like, one of the dudes I used to work with, like, he worked at Rabbit, Wicked Rabbit, a little bit after I did, but his, like, thing, he's also a cartoon character, and he used to be like, hey, man, your mouth is your mouth and my mouth is my mouth. You like different stuff, which is such a true statement. It's a really funny way to put it. So, like, I think when it comes to what is a good cocktail, once again, it goes back to the goal. So if you go, make me something good, I'm going to ask you a handful of questions. I'll chef something up on the backside of it, but I need you to narrow it down. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, well, do you have any allergies? Do you have any dietary restrictions? Because I'm not trying to kill you tonight. I got that locked in my brain. And I'm like, all right, how do you want to drink? And someone's like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, well, do you want something, like refreshing, tutti fruity, big, boozy, bitter, and kind of list off different flavor profiles and things like that. And then that kind of, as I'm doing that, I'm putting like an ingredient list in my head. And then I, can chef something up or point you in a direction of whatever. And, like, argumentatively, it's a surprise to you. But, like, it's something that I have cultivated during a conversation. So my goal when someone's like, what's a good cocktail, is like the one that blows your mind. That's a good cocktail. Oh, something not expected, things like that. But it can be everything. I've had good old fashions. I've had good daiquiris. I've had good Long Islands. I've had good, vodka tonics. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything with the caliber. It goes back to kind of what we were talking about previously of, like, the ambiance, the setting, whatever. Like, one of the best beers I've ever had in my life, period. Best beer. I don't really like beer. It was a skunked Bud Light in, like, 2011 or 2012, whenever the hell it was. That was in the back of a car for like 3 weeks in the hot sun, and I drank it on a beach. It was the best beer I've ever had in my life. I don't know why.
Because it was the setting, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, that beer by itself, if I was on a couch, that would have been disgusting. Not into it at all. But because of where I was and what I was doing, that was the best beer in my life. So strange.
Very strange, but also very, I mean, I'm sorry, I just naturally tie things back to food, but, like, I have fantastic memories of having, like, a Little Caesars pizza with my buddies in high school. I still remember that now, 20 years later. It's freaking a $5 hot and ready, like, pepperoni and just grease everywhere thrown together by some guy who has no culinary degree.
Doesn't
and I can
matter.
still remember that pizza because it was the people I was with. It was the setting I was in.
You and your boys playing Halo or whatever, just jamming a hot and ready. And it was a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. So, like, it goes back to, like, what we were talking about previously of the whole, like, I don't know, like, the psychology of everything. Like, it doesn't matter what the product is argumentatively. Like, it's who you're with, what you're doing, and what kind of cultivates that memory. Because, yeah, like, I've had some super good Little Caesar pizzas too. Like, and, like, some of the best meals or best drinks that I've ever had. Like, don't get me wrong, they were, like, a fantastic whatever. But, like, I've had some super, like, awesome street tacos. And, like, I was in Mexico from a taco truck. Like, that was a beautiful memory. It was probably just like a normal food truck street taco, but because I was, sitting in flip-flops in Cancun, it was awesome. Like, so it's so much tied to, like, psychology, with this whole thing, like both food and bev.
So I'd never you've just unlocked something for me that was really special. I'm loving this conversation. I just realized like what we're talking about helped me decide that I was going to marry my wife. Like when I made the decision I'm going to propose to this woman, we were actually at a bar in Chicago. We'd gone to a Cubs game. We were done. We had something else going on that night, so we're just like, let's just get a couple cocktails at this bar here. And we don't drink together all that often, so like we did, and we got a little tipsy, but like we had such a good time. I can't tell you the name of that bar. I can't tell you any drinks that we had. I can't tell you, but I can put myself in that booth and remember sitting next to her and remember the conversation and everything like it was yesterday.
This is it's gonna happen.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Like so much is tied to memory, to psychology, things like that, and like it's a really, I don't know if it's a normal way to look at F&B. That's how I look at F&B. Is like the psychological responses to like all of these different stimulus that are happening. But yeah, man, I mean, you guys had a good time. Like, oh, let's get a little whatever. And like, I don't know, you probably had something like maybe super dope. Maybe it wasn't. The drink didn't matter. The atmosphere didn't matter because you're sitting there with googly eyes like, I want to marry her, dude. Like, I mean, and that's the cool part about it is, like, yeah, it took you straight back. Like, you just think about, I don't know, anything really. Like, most of the stuff that we mess with in this industry, or a game that I like to play, is such a thing that's tied to memory. I had a couple regulars when I was at Rabbit, like that I got to know them pretty well. I have a handful of regulars that are like this, where like, I don't know, make me something, Matt. I'm like, I could be a million things, dude. But this one set of regulars, they went to like nostalgic memories, and I had to make a cocktail based on a nostalgic memory. Yeah, it was fun. I'm just like, shit, dude, I don't really know how to do this, but they were like, you remember when you took that bus trip in like 5th grade to the pumpkin patch? I want to drink that. And I'm like, what the hell? All right, cool. So in my brain, I'm like looking at all the bottles and things like this, and I mean, I could tell you what was in the drink actually. That was like,
go for it. I'm fascinated.
That was like a handful of years ago. It was in 2018? I think it was the 2017 Leatherby Autumnal Gin. It was very... The only way I can describe this, I don't remember what it was like, what the infusion was or whatever for their gin, but it tastes like a hayrack ride. Like it was like it was very...
I don't know if that sounds really good or really bad.
It was super weird, but it tasted like hay smells, which is super interesting and kind of weird. So I grabbed that because like pumpkin patch, hayrack ride makes sense. At the time, it was kind of an autumn-esque menu. I think we had some sort of we had fresh nutmeg. I did a little bit of pineapple juice, and I think I had like a pumpkin puree sort of situation. But I did like a jack-o'-lantern-esque cocktail. And they try to go, holy shit, dude. Like, I'm on that bus right now. That's crazy. But yeah, that's a super fun game to try and play with people or things like that. Obviously, if I'm not like 7 deep in the weeds, I'd love to play the game with you. So come down to the green room and go ahead and do it. But if there's a million people, that's maybe not the time to play the game. But yeah, like tying anything to like memory. Like, perfect example, I was working last night with one of my bartenders, Cassie, and we had that Watu block party, and I was out in the sun all day, all this other stuff. So I was drinking a little Pedialyte, getting some,
electrolytes,
electrolytes and stuff. And I'm like, we did a little cheers, and we split this Pedialyte, and it tasted exactly like the blue icy from like elementary school. And like it slingshot us both back to like, playing kickball in the yard and stuff. So like so much with like flavor profiles and things like that are tied to memory. So it's a super like kind of fun thing. Like, all right, cool. Like, what does high school graduation taste like? Like, what does freshman year of college taste like? It's a weird thing to like put into your brain, but it's kind of a fun mental exercise to see, what triggers in your brain of that type of memory, and then seeing if that is something that like resonates with somebody else.
Okay, so I'm fascinated by this idea of the game. I want to talk more about the game because you guys have a menu. You have a rotating menu, and you also have of cocktails, but you also have like a beer menu and everything. So in that sense, you're like a restaurant. But if I go into my favorite restaurant tomorrow, I can't go to the chef and say, "Hey, I'm feeling like I want something light. I'm wanting something that kind of has like some summer vibes to it. I really want it to make me feel better. I can just make me a dish like that." And the chef would go, "Yeah." They'd be like, "That's ridiculous." But someone can come into a bar and again, not when 7 deep in the weeds.
Yeah. Not all bars,
and not all bars.
But like, I mean, obviously, be able to read the room. But if it's a slower happy hour, like I know I enjoy doing that. Most of the staff enjoys doing that. We've kind of trained everybody at Green Room to be able to do that sort of thing. I don't know where it came from. I think that it kind of came from, I worked with, unsure if you know him, super great guy. Like he knows so much about the F&B and alcohol industry. This dude's an encyclopedia. Drew Wilson, amazing, sweet little baby. I worked with him at Kaite, and at Kaite they have this thing. Well, I don't know if they still do. This was a while ago. This was in like 2018, 2019. But it was a Ichigo Iche, which is a choose your own adventure cocktail. So it was basically like a bartender's choice thing. But I've always done the whole like let me just make you something thing. But there it kind of started with like, oh, food allergies, dietary restrictions, how do you want to drink, blah 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 blah. So like from that point I just adopted that, and then I've just been doing that since then, with everybody, and I kind of trained everybody at Greener to be able to do somewhat of the same thing. But yeah, man, it's a fun little thing to do. Yeah, I think if you do it at a restaurant, though, they would ask you politely to leave.
Maybe not even politely.
Yeah. Get out of here.
So, but you mentioned you've trained other people at the Green Room how to do this now. I mean, you're talking about a skill that has no guardrails. I mean, there's someone could ask for anything, and you're not going to tell them, no, I can't do that.
Well, I mean, to a degree. So, like, if you're like, I want to have a super spicy michelada something or other, like if I don't have like fresh jalapenos or things like that, if we don't have the ingredients, we can't necessarily walk down that road with you. So there is times and instances where I'd be like, I can get close, I can try to do something like that, but like, full disclosure, I don't have papayas in the back or whatever. So obviously there are limitations to it, but as a collective, myself, everybody at Green, like, we'll get as close to that end goal as we possibly can. I mean, if you're, bringing in, hey, I want a spicy marg, and you bring me, jalapenos, like, tight, dude, I'll make you a spicy marg, like, whatever. I just don't have those in-house regularly, you know what I mean?
Are there any other, I mean, you mentioned the summer bus request. Are there any other ones, like, over the years that pop to the front of your mind, whether like it was a crazy request or you were super happy with what you were able to come up with?
Well, all right. So you remember my round 2?
Yeah. That was Get Lit.
Yep. Get Lit. That was a choose your own adventure cocktail for one of my regulars.
Really?
Yep.
What did he or she ask for?
So they wanted, this was during winter. And they wanted, something that was kind of like warming, a little angry. So like the way that they explained it to me was like I originally that cocktail was called the Scrooge, because you know how in A Christmas Carol, Scrooge is like Scrooge until he's not, like, and then like his like heart warms up. It's sort of like in The Grinch, like he's blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden his heart starts pumping and he becomes all full of love and stuff. Like I was trying to hit the point of like when his heart got restarted, of like here's this like kind of angry cocktail where it's like big boozy things like that, but then like that secondary and tertiary like finishing point of that cocktail kind of like warms you up a little bit and you like feel the love a little bit and kind of relax. So like that's kind of how that thing is. She goes, I want I think she said like an old rich white guy that finally found love. It's like I think what that prompt was. But yeah, that was the Get Lit cocktail. So that was a choose your own adventure, and I'm just like, these two people are basically like, they try all the menu and they're like, all right, no, Matt, make me something. Like, I don't know, I want this, that, the other. I want something bitter, blah blah blah. And then I was like, all right, we're gonna get a little weird, and that's why I decided to do with like the brandy and sherry cocktail, because not a lot of people pull brandy and sherry for a cocktail. It's normally your normal spirits of like vodka, rum, gin, tequila, whiskey, or whatever. But yeah, so like that's an instance of like where I tried something. I was like, damn, that's good. That's really good. I'm gonna like wrote the recipe down, and I was like, I'm gonna save that for later. But there's instances where I'll like make something on the fly for somebody, and I'll like try it, or have the crew try it. And I'm just like, shit, that's it right there. And then that'll be like my hyper focus for the day. I'm like, hey, I'm making this thing right now. You should try it. It's super good. But yeah, I don't know.
So I want to talk about the menu at the Green Room,
Yeah.
Specifically the cocktail menu. You guys have 7 cocktails, and it rotates seasonally. So usually a menu would be around for what, a couple months?
So we actually do it biannual.
Biannual, okay.
Yep. So we do spring, summer, fall, winter, and kind of like jammed up. The original plan was to do it seasonally, but we have a giant 26-foot chalkboard that like we write the cocktails on, and that's a giant pain in the ass to do. It takes like 14 hours to like because we hand do it.
Right.
Like I hand did the last one. I do it most times. Originally, we started doing it with like local artists and things like that. Kind of got away with that, or got away from that. But the whole thing takes like start to finish. I mean, it's like, I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 17 hours to do that, and I really don't want to do that every 3 months. So I'm just like, spring, summer, it's fine, whatever. But the menu thing, something that I can't remember if we talked about this previously or not, but something that's kind of cool, and I believe we're the only people doing it. It kind of got birthed out of COVID, good old COVID. So when we opened up in January of 2020, I created the first menu. Created the first menu. We were open for 2 months and then shut down for 4. And then with getting shut down, like everybody else, we applied for PPP, things like that. We got our PPP. And then came back into it, ran the rest of the menu until like October of that year. And we had some money that we wanted to give the staff, but it was kind of like, I don't know, do something for it. Because we had to furlough everybody so they could get unemployment. So the idea that we had was, all right, well, make a menu item. So the first one was a little willy-nilly. It was just kind of like, I don't know, pick whatever you want to and do whatever. Which was kind of a wild, wild west stuff. But basically, anybody that bartended there was required to make a menu item. All made a menu item, and then what we did as ownership, we created a contest. So the contest is basically, here's your specs of what you need to do. Nowadays, I will fast forward to this last menu. We just dropped it in the beginning of April. We basically do a quadruple blind hat pull, I think is how you would describe that. So I have every bartender in a hat. I have bases in a hat. I have flavor profiles in a hat. And then I have an inspiration in a hat. And I just pull each one of them, line them up, and be like, all right, here you go. So this last menu, like I said, that we dropped in April, this is kind of I don't know how to really describe it. The theme of the menu isn't necessarily for the guest. It's for the bartenders to have some sort of like cohesion. Mm-hmm. So like, it's not like, oh, here's, the Zodiac menu and every cocktail is like blatantly Zodiac. That's not what it is at all. It's kind of just for us to try and have some sort of cohesion. So talking about Zodiac, the one that we did in April based on Zodiac. So we put all the Zodiac signs in a hat, pulled them out, pulled the flavor profile, blah, 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 whatever. My cocktail that we have on the menu right now is a vodka base that is supposed to be boozy. And it is the Sagittarius. So with the prompts of vodka, boozy, Sagittarius, I had to make a drink. And my drink is called All Paired Up. It is a pear yuzu vodka cocktail. It's vodka, pear liqueur, yuzu sake, lemon, lime, and then pear syrup. And it is delightful. Tastes like biting into a fresh pear on like a hot summer day.
So when you guys come up with the cocktail that you have these prompts, you come up with what you think is really good. Is there like a giant taste test or something where everybody goes through and says, this is a little harsh? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we get the prompts roughly like a month and a half. If we do it right. If I do it right. I'm always behind the curve on that. But I try to give the kids at least a month before the tasting or before the new menu drop to like do R&D and all that other stuff. So they get the prompts a month out. They have, 3.5 weeks to do the thing. Then we have a giant tasting with all the staff where we present our cocktails. Here's my base, my inspiration. Here's what I was trying to go for. Here's my specs. We all taste it. We're all like, it could be better this way. Maybe you tweak that. Maybe this is like fantastic. You don't need to do shit. And then sometimes someone be like, here's my thing. I don't know what the hell to call it. And then as a group, we're like, what if you name it this or that or whatever. But yeah, as much of an individualized situation as it is with the creation of the cocktail, making sure that it's like well-rounded and kind of like fully developed, for lack of better words. The rest of the staff kind of helps with that and offers insights. The more mouths you can get on something, the more opinions you can get. You can really like dial something in.
I want to talk about TikTok a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because at Cockfight, I was talking with some of the other bartenders, and I didn't realize that TikTok was such a thing in the bar industry. And
bro, you're talking to the wrong guy. I don't have TikTok, but like I can talk to him about it.
I don't use it either, which is why it's like totally off my radar. I use it for work, but I don't use it at all personally. I know almost nothing about it. But like they were talking about how much they hated it, and as I was researching stuff for this conversation, I found there was an article that you were included in that was talking about like the worst TikTok trends. And somebody asked you,
I was in an article about that?
You were in an article.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Somebody asked you, what's the worst TikTok trend you've had to deal with behind the bar?
Man,
and you responded all of them.
Yeah.
Why is TikTok the bane of bartenders' existence?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I just think that the problem with it, and I don't know, maybe I'll get canceled for this, whatever. But I think the problem with it is I'm a firm believer in thinking for yourself. I think that when it comes to trends and things along those lines that like TikTok promotes, like, don't get me wrong. I'll make you whatever you want, like I said previously. Like, I'm here to make your mouth happy. I think when that came out, I think the thing that was super hot was the Spagliato. I'm pretty sure it was a Spagliato trend. The Negroni Spagliato with Prosecco in it.
This came out in July of 2023.
Dude, I'm pretty sure that was the Negroni Spagliato time. Which is fine. Like, a Spagliato is a delicious cocktail, but like it hit the internet. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, what's this? I want to try it." And like, it's just a weird thing that like a social media platform can dictate popularity of a drink. Which, like, don't get me wrong, there has to be a way for things to get out. I just don't necessarily like it because it just pigeonholes things, for lack of better words. Like I said before, I'm kind of a person that enjoys like free thinking and trying something new or taking advice from your bartender or whatever. But like, you come in super hot and like, I want a Spagliato, and you have no idea what it is. I'm like, have you ever had that? Like, do you know what Campari is? Do you know what this is? Like, this is going to be a bitter drink. And they're like, it's pink, I want it. And I'm like, bro, but like, my goal is to make you happy. So like, if you don't like bitter things, you might not like this. So I think that like, man, I can't believe you dug that up. That's crazy. But yeah, like, I don't think that TikTok's like the bane of existence or bane of bartender stuff. I think just with how it's utilized and the lack of education, possibly. This was 2 years ago. Maybe things have changed. Who knows? But yeah, just like the way that whole thing is just such a like, I want to do it because that person's doing it, and that is the thing that bothers me, instead of like being a free thinker. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, well, I mean, clearly you are a very creative person, and we're talking about an exercise that essentially removes all creativity, where somebody's not coming into the bar and being like, hey, because it involves creativity to request a drink, to say, I was on this beach in 1997, and I was in Cancun, and I'd just broken up with my girlfriend, and I had this drink. I want to be taken back. Like, that takes creativity to think, I want that drink. To just come in and be like, I don't even know what drink it would be, but, I saw this on TikTok. I want this. That's removing all creativity from you and from that person.
It is, but I think that like the main point that I was trying to make earlier is like, at least at Green and how I conduct myself and how everybody conducts themselves. Like, our goal is to make you happy. Yeah. So like whether that requires a level of creativity out the wazoo, like, it is what it is. Like, once again, if you want to come in and have a White Claw and a shot of Fireball, hell yeah, dude, got you. If you want the thing from TikTok, hell yeah, I got you. Like, I don't, like, the thing that I like to tell people at the bar, because another thing that we do over there is like our goal is to make you happy. Mm-hmm. I don't think someone should be penalized for trying something new. So, like, you want to try the mezcal drink, you've never had mezcal. Like, I'm going to give you a little nib and make sure you like it. Like, oh yeah, that's cool. Or like, or if you like, full send a big one and you're like, this wasn't what I was envisioning. Even after I kind of try to explain the flavor profiles, like, I will buy that back from you, and I will get you something else. My goal is to make you happy. I'm not emotionally tied to this shit at all. My goal is to make you happy, and that's it. Like, I don't care if you don't like my all paired up. I don't care if you don't like my old fashioned. Like, if you have never had a Negroni Spagliato with Prosecco in it, like, and you try it, and it ain't for you, sweet, let me make it right. Yeah. Let me take it back. Let me go back. It goes back to that service industry thing. So, like, whether or not I get to, play the game and have all my creative juices flowing or whatever, like, that's fine, man. Like, I'll give you, here's a Budweiser and a shot of Rumplemans, and let's have a combo if you want to have a combo. Like, it really
That's gonna be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, dude. Like, it doesn't really matter what's in the cup or what's in front of you. It goes back to connecting with humans. So, like, the whole, like, bane of the existence, the TikTok thing. Like, I was a young bartender. I didn't know what I was talking about. But, like, it's just a thing that, like, I don't know how to word this without sounding like a particular way. Like, you shouldn't do something because someone else is doing it.
Yeah.
You should be, like, if you want to try it because, like, hey, man, that looks interesting, like, cool. But, like, because, whatever, Kanye is drinking, I don't know, insert thing here, I want to have the thing that Kanye has. Like, but why? Like, what are you really trying to achieve? Like, I just think that people should think for themselves a little bit more. And, like, whatever. Like, it could be your most favorite thing. It could not. Maybe I'm, like, skewed on the whole thing. I got friends that are, like, TikTok famous, which I don't understand at all. But, like, good for you for making a career out of, song and dance and social media platforms. Like,
I think I understand what you're saying. And I'm going to try and relate it back to food. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago now, but In-N-Out, the burger chain.
Yep.
There became this off-menu item that somebody ordered or created. I don't know how it started, but it was called the Flying Dutchman, where instead of having buns, they take grilled onions and have those be the buns.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds delicious to me because I love onions. But it became this thing where it was like suddenly everybody on Instagram, any food influencer, had to make a video about this thing. Mm-hmm. And I watch ones of people that are trying it, and they're like, man, I hate onions. And, like, this thing, it's not a feasible food item. It's just, like, falling apart. Their hands are disgusting. It's all over their face. But they were doing it because they saw it on social media. Mm-hmm. Someone else did it, so they felt like they had to do it. They didn't creatively think, is this a good idea? They're just like, that guy did it. Yeah, I want to do it. So I think... I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Like I said, I don't know. I want to, like, tread this lightly with my opinion, because I'm not saying, like, you see something on social media and you shouldn't try it because of this, that, the other.
Right.
Like, I'm like, why are you doing it? Like, the whole, like, idea of, like, viral trends, I don't understand the psychology behind it, and I think that's where I'm, like, the disconnect is, because I've typically tried to be, more of an independent thinker when it comes to stuff like that. So like when it comes to food or bev or whatever, like don't get me wrong, I've definitely seen something on the internet and I was like, I should I should try that. Like the Dutchman thing, I saw that. I was like, I should probably try that. That sounds delicious. Or I follow. Have you ever followed or seen the Vulgar Chef? Do you know who this guy is? So like he does the Glizburger and shit, and then like some weird whatever culinary shit. And I'm just like, I look at it, I was like, I would try that. That looks good. Like, dude, yeah, a hamburger stuffed hot dog. Why not? That sounds delicious. So like I understand the interest that is peaked, like society as a whole nowadays. Like we're all kind of buried in our phones for the most part, or like the general public of social media apps and all this other stuff. So like something that you see and it piques your interest, like I don't know, go for it. But like I don't know, the virality of like you need to stay relevant by putting an espresso martini on your menu because it's viral as shit. Like, I don't know, maybe because like the climate and the trends kind of, dictate the industry to a certain degree. I don't know. It's a weird road to travel, for lack of better words.
I want to talk to you about, I found a quote that you had on an Instagram post in 2022. You said, the long days and effed schedule pay off when you love what you do. Break that down for me. What do you mean by that?
Well, I am, I think, what people would call a workaholic. Especially, when was that, 2020?
2022.
2022, yeah. So, at the time, so let me back up. I got involved with Green Room late, like middle 2018 is when I got approached for it. The guys approached me and were like, hey, we want you to run the spot. And I was like, I've been GMing bars since I was 21. How about equity? And then we worked out a deal, basically. At the same time, I was approached by another person. This is a semi-sore subject, so I'm going to like kind of talk about it without talking about it. But I was approached by another guy to be involved in another business. So I had two businesses in their infancy. And that started middle of 2018. So middle of 2018 all the way to 2022, I was basically running two whole-ass businesses that were 2 years old. 4 years old. Yeah. So that was it was an online business that I was doing. So I was like filling orders, printing, things like that. It was a clothing company. So I did that when I wasn't at the bar. The bar was in its infancy, so I had to make sure that culture and protocols and all that other stuff there. So I was at the bar conservatively, probably. I mean, I'm there at least 5 days a week now in some capacity. Previously, it was 7 and closer to like 4 to 5 days like doing service. And we do 13-hour days, or I do 13-hour days at the bar. So 15, I don't know, whenever I get there. But I would basically open the bar or get to the bar and like do inventory and all that other stuff at like 11. And then I'd work from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. doing all like the bar stuff. And then after that, I would go to the clothing line and work another 5-6 hours tagging, folding, printing, whatever.
So we're talking like 3-4 hours of sleep, if that.
And I did that for 6 years. So when it comes to like screwed up schedules and things like that, like when you enjoy what you do, it makes it worth it. Like doing those long nights, early mornings, whatever the hell you want to call it, the lack of sleep. Like I'm a very driven person, so like I won't let something fail. 2022, we're doing whatever. I'm not saying that we were going to fail, but like I want to make it right. I want to make it good. I want to make it the best thing that it can possibly be. And the only way to do that is to be present and work. Like you can, do whatever social media post you want to. You can, write whatever quote you want to. But at the end of the day, it's, getting your hands dirty and being there and doing the thing. So I was doing the thing for two businesses. Minimal hours of sleep, lots of hours of things. I mean, I was working 20-hour days, 7 days a week for 6 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what that quote is about. And I think if I what picture was with that? Do you remember?
I don't have it pulled up.
I was going to say, no, I'm thinking of like what it was. Cause there was I think it was when I was doing the menu board. Because I did the menu board and it was like a picture of my truck outside the bar and it was like all raining and then like super cute or whatever. And I'm just like sitting there, smoking a cigarette if you choose to smoke cigarettes. And I just like looked outside. I was like, man, dude, this sucks. But I was like, it's worth it because I've GM bars since I was 21. I'm almost 38. And doing that thing for yourself has a little bit more gusto where like you're like argumentatively like when you're in business for yourself, like you're doing it for you. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it for Joe Blow or whatever, and your livelihood is dependent on you and what you're doing. So yeah, that's kind of where that whole thing came from.
All right, I got 2 questions that I like to ask pretty much all my guests,
sure.
And I usually get really good responses to these, but I'm fascinated because now we're coming at it from the bar angle. So this is going to be interesting. What is something that you feel most customers or guests don't understand about the bar industry that you wish they did understand?
That's a good question. Okay. I will answer your question with a question.
Oh boy!
So
this is the first time this happened.
Are you saying that from a ownership standpoint or a bartender standpoint?
Let's say bartender.
Gotcha.
Let's just say I come into the bar. I've never worked in a bar before. Mm-hmm. I sit down. I'm ordering a drink, whatever. I'm just your average customer. What do you wish that I knew about your job as a bartender that I don't understand?
I would say if we're like, obviously I can only speak on my like personal perspective of the whole thing and like how I conduct myself and how Green Room does. But I would say the level of multitasking that it requires. I mean, some folks will see it. Some folks won't. The general public, which like, whatever, we're there to serve, right? Like some people are just so in their own little lives at the moment that they aren't necessarily spatially aware of what's happening around them, which is fine. Like it's part of the thing. But like in a busy bar, yelling at the bartender, hey, me next, I want a drink. I was like, so does every other.
Mm-hmm. What do you think all these other people want?
Yeah. Like I have the thing that everybody wants and I'll get to you as soon as I can. And I got you in the queue or whatever. But like the level of multitasking that it goes to be an efficient bartender is insane. Like you're making 3 orders, taking 2 more, ringing other things in, all while trying to remember a recipe. So like I think the general public may not know that the level of multitasking and things like that it goes with that. And I mean, I don't know. I'm super blessed with all the people that come into Green. Like we have the best clientele, period. Every guest that comes in there, super respectful, a bunch of sweeties. You hear these horror stories of different, bars and restaurants or whatever having, Karens, if you will. And of just like these horror stories of these individuals that come in and just treat their people like shit. And then like, luckily, and we don't have that. Like, I mean, we'll get, a wild hair sometimes with like someone being an asshole to the bartender or to the cocktail or someone like that, but like it's so rare, which is a fantastic thing. So like from my perspective, like being kind to the person that is serving you, I think is a thing. Like I said, we're blessed, but like some people are like, I just want my thing and I want to go over there and I like whatever, screw you guys. But like I don't know, the general public, I think from a bartender standpoint, I think that knowing what we're trying to do for you, like in Green Room, we're trying to cultivate the most positive experience and things like that for you while you're sitting there, whether it be you and 900 people around you or if it's just you and me. Like I'm trying to do the same thing, whether it be a micro transaction of like, all right, cool, what can I get you? This, that, the other. All right, boom, here's that thing in like, a minute and a half versus the long format of like just you and me in a happy hour kind of bullshit. Oh, hey, how's the wife? How's the kids? Blah, blah, blah. So like the thing of cultivating the experience and what goes into that, I don't think the general public really understands. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not the general public, so I don't know what they know and what they don't know.
Well, I am the general public, and I can definitely tell you that I don't think that understanding generally exists. Even after you explain it, like I have an idea in my head, but I've never been in there when the bullets are flying and seen, like, having to compute all these different things, and like we talked about, what each person is looking for in their, like, yes, you have a lot to juggle. It's very impressive that you're able to do it. Yeah, I wish that I could understand that, or that I had that skill.
I have this I have this theory that if you're very good in the service industry, whether it be front of the house or back of the house, like you're like cream of the crop, top tier server, chef, bartender, whatever. Like you have to be neurodivergent, ADHD, maybe a touch of autism, something, because there's no way in my brain, because it's hyper focus and multitasking all at the same time. Mm-hmm. So like you're doing 9 things at once, but you're taking care of each of those individual things like narrow-mindedly, if that makes sense. It's a weird mindset, and if you like go into different bars or restaurants or whatever and kind of like see how they work and see a really good bartender, like you can see like almost like a Rolodex of what's happening in their brain during a rush. And it's a very interesting thing to see. I love being in that chaos though. Like me versus 400 people, bet, let's go. Like it's so much fun, but like it comes to a point where, like, I don't know, it becomes like, are you familiar with like flow state? Mm-hmm. So like it becomes flow state for me, mm-hmm. Where I'm, moving and grooving and everything's just second nature, and I'm bouncing around the bar and I'm like just, grabbing stuff, whatever. And like, it's so, I don't know, it's like Zen for me. It's awesome to be just hanging out in that chaos zone. And I know a lot of bartenders, servers, chefs, like you hit a point where you're just like hitting that flow, and like, I don't know, maybe you're, at McDonald's flipping burgers or whatever, but you have 1 million burgers and you're just like doing the thing. And like that part and achieving that flow state is like, I don't know, super satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it anyway, just to get your final thought on it. Favorite thing about being a bartender?
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what you thought it was going to be, but
that is. No, you've talked about the interactions, creating that experience. It's not about the cup; it's about how you make someone feel. So
100%.
That's. I thought that you would go in that direction, but I'll let you sum it up.
Yeah, man, 100%. Like, with no people, I wouldn't have a job. Like,
that's a good way to look at it.
100%. I wouldn't have a job. Wouldn't have business. I wouldn't have this passion, because, like, at the end of the day, once again, like I talked about previously, you already brought it up. Like, who cares about the cup? Like, I mean, the cup and the thing that goes in the cup is something that I, depending on what it is, like, I don't really work that hard to crack a Bud Light, but like, what comes with that Bud Light? I can work pretty hard on cultivating, a cocktail for the game that we were talking about earlier, and like, using all my ingredient lists and how to like create nostalgia with liquids and all this other crazy stuff. But like at the end of the day, like I can't do any of that if you're not there. Or if he's not there, or if she's not there, or if they're not there. And like being able to connect to humans and things like that is like, that's the best part of the job, man. 100%. Best part. People. And it's crazy because you'll talk to service industry folks, and like, they're like, what's the worst part about your job?
Also
like,
people.
Yeah, also people. So it's kind of this double-edged thing where like, I mean, most service industry professionals are like, man, like when they have a hard shift, they're like, F people, blah, 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 blah. And like, I can't deal with it. But then you like turn around, like, man, I had this super great couple that was in, or like this party was awesome. And like, so like at the end of the day, like people, it's always people. I love cultivating experiences. I love, bullshitting. I love getting to know folks. I love blowing people's minds with cocktails. I just love people. I love the industry. It's something that, I'm very passionate about, if you can't tell.
Well, you're very good at what you do. I've tasted your cocktails. Those are fantastic. But you also just came in and talked to someone who knows almost nothing about working in bars or the bar industry for over an hour.
Yeah, man.
And I had an absolutely awesome time. This was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Matt. Like, this was seriously a blast.
You're really easy to talk to, Dan. You're great. This was super fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy that you asked me to come. I'm glad we were able to make that connection via cocktails at the Cockfight.
Yeah. You want to give a quick shout-out to Cockfight 3?
Oh, yeah. So round 3, Dirty Birds Cockfight is July 20th. Let me double check that date real quick because I'm going to be real mad if I do it wrong. Yep. Sunday, July 20th. Dirty Birds Omaha is going to be doing their 3rd round cockfight. So I was the winner of round 2. I'll be back to judge round 3. Have 2 competitors. They'll be going head to head. I don't know if I'm supposed to release this yet, but I'm going to. Let's
break some news.
Yeah. This just in, breaking news. Cockfight round 3 is going to be Devin Munt, owner and operator of Anna's Place inside Hotel Indigo, and good old Dion Bass. Dion Bass, I believe, is lead bartender. He got a promotion. Don't really know what that is right now, but he is at Proof 192. Is that what the West Omaha Proof is? Yeah, Proof 192. They'll be throwing down and mixing up. So maybe give a follow to Dirty Birds Omaha to see when all those tickets and stuff release. They normally release them about 2-3 weeks out, I think.
And it sells out fast.
Yeah, the one that I was in sold out in 30 hours. So they have some stuff to try and compete with, but it's going to be a fun time. You guys should go. It's a hell of an experience. Yeah. So that was a nice little plug for the homies at Dirty Birds.
Yeah, so people definitely look into that. It's a really fun event, but also just stop into the green room anytime.
Yeah. I'll be there. I'll be doing stuff.
It's a really cool atmosphere. You're going to have a great cocktail, but I think, as you can tell, Matt is also going to try and tailor your experience beyond what he serves you to make you feel good and allow you to have a good time. Matt, thank you again for coming on the show.
Dude. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I had so much fun.
Omaha, as always, thanks for eating and drinking with us.